You've seen the crystals on the shelf of a friend who goes to Sunday Mass. You've watched a colleague, a baptized Catholic, talk about energy healing and yoga with the same enthusiasm she has for the rosary. You may have even tried some of these things yourself. The question is one most Catholics never dare to say out loud: can I practice New Age spirituality and still be a faithful Catholic? Let's find out. Most people who practice New Age spirituality have never studied it. They just absorbed it, one yoga class, one crystal, one tarot card at a time. The term appeared at the end of the 19th century, coined by English and American authors who believed the stars were signaling the dawn of a new cosmic era. It has now no single book and authority. It is a spiritual soup that burrows from everything and belongs to nothing. The whole New Age system rests on astrology, the idea that the Earth is moving from the era of Pisces into the era of Aquarius, supposedly ushering in a golden age of peace and harmony. But here is what New Agers rarely admit. Astronomers who have actually done the math say the true astrological shift to Aquarius is still 170 years away. The entire New Age calendar is built on a miscalculation. The movement's own foundation is scientifically false. New Age is not neutral about the faith you were baptized into. Its proponents teach that the last 2,000 years of Christianity represent an age of fanaticism and repression. They don't say that loudly because they want Catholics inside the tent. But the ideology is clear. Christianity was an era of darkness, and the New Age is the liberation humanity has been waiting for. You were not told that at your first yoga class, but it was always underneath. Strip away the crystals, the angel cards, and the chakra charts, and what you find underneath the New Age is Gnosticism, one of the oldest heresies in church history. Gnosticism teaches that ordinary people are spiritually asleep, but a chosen few, the illuminated ones, can access hidden knowledge that lifts them above the rest. Every New Age practice promises exactly that secret knowledge that makes you more than ordinary. This is not new. It is ancient pride. In the Garden of Eden, the serpent made one promise: you will be like gods. That single line is the founding promise of the New Age, dressed up in modern language. Yoga will align your divine energy. Reiki will channel your inner power. The crystals will awaken the God within you. The packaging changes with every generation, but the message never does. It is the oldest lie in human history, being sold today at wellness centers and bookstores near you. One of the most effective traps in the New Age is the experience of peace, a genuine feeling of calm and well-being that many people report. After their first yoga session or crystal meditation, that feeling is real. But the source matters enormously. True peace, the peace Christ promised, not as the world gives, is a gift from a person, not an energy field. Counterfeits feel real. That is precisely what makes them dangerous. Not every calm is holy. When you sit with a crystal and feel a moment of tranquility, you are not touching the divine. You are touching the human capacity for stillness which God built into your soul. The Catholic Church has always known that the deepest hungers for peace, meaning, and transcendence are real, placed in us by God, meant to be satisfied by God alone. The New Age hijacks those hungers and offers a substitute that looks like bread but cannot nourish anyone. A Catholic cannot simultaneously receive the Eucharist and practice Reiki, not because the Church is rigid, but because the two say opposite things about reality. The Eucharist says, I am nothing without God, and He has given Himself to me. Reiki says, I am a conduit of divine energy, I can channel myself. These are not two paths to the same truth. They are two radically different answers to the question of who God is and whether you need him at all. In 2003, the Vatican's Pontifical Council for Culture published Jesus Christ, the bearer of the water of life. It is one of the most comprehensive Catholic analyses of New Age ever written. And it is direct. The New Age is incompatible with Christian faith, not a little incompatible. Not problematic in some areas, but incompatible. The document specifically names yoga, Reiki, channeling, crystal healing, and astrology as practices that cannot be harmonized with Catholicism. Everything a person seeks in the New Age can be found in far greater abundance in Catholic prayer. Peace, the Rosary, healing, the sacrament of anointing transcendence, Eucharistic adoration, community, the Mass itself. The New Age offers a spiritual experience designed by man. The Church offers an encounter with a person, Jesus Christ, who died for you, rose for you, and is waiting for you in the tabernacle right now. The source is the difference. So many people drift toward crystals and chakras because they are exhausted, anxious, or spiritually empty. That pain is real and deserves a real answer. Confession heals the wounds sin leaves behind. The Eucharist feeds a hunger nothing else can touch. Daily prayer is what keeps the soul alive. The New Age is not filling a gap in Christianity. It is filling a gap left by a Christianity that has been lived poorly, half-heartedly, or almost not at all. There is one thing New Age practitioners almost never tell you before you begin. Some of these practices open doors to spiritual realities that are not what they appear to be. Every major spiritual tradition in the world warns that the unseen world is not made up only of benevolent forces. The Bible is explicit. There are spirits that masquerade as light. Entertaining them is not a wellness practice. It is a gamble with your soul that no one can afford to lose. Paula was not troubled or looking for darkness. She was a regular Catholic woman who began experiencing terrifying spiritual disturbances, sounds, physical marks on her body, paralyzing fear. Her mother, a psychologist, tried everything. Nothing worked. Then someone suggested energy healing. Then yoga, then Reiki, then ayahuasca ceremonies. Each practice promised answers. Each one pulled her a little further from the only answer that could actually help her. She did not see it happening. No one sits down and says, "Today I will begin a 7-year journey into spiritual oppression." It starts with a meditation class that promises stress relief. Then a healer who clears your energy. Then a guide who channels enlightened beings. Each step feels like progress. Each one feels like light. Paula described it perfectly. What all New Age practices have in common is that they move you step by step away from the love of God. That is the design. That is the point. For 7 years, Paula practiced yoga, Reiki, crystals, and ayahuasca rituals, searching for the same things every human being searches for: peace, answers, healing. What she found instead was escalating terror and a complete loss of control over her interior life. The spiritual guides who promised wisdom and light turned out to be, in her own words after her liberation, something else entirely. She used one word to describe them: demons. The Church has always said the same. The turning point for Paula did not come from an exorcism. It came from a simple question her father-in-law asked one evening: "Would you like to come to confession?" She had not been in years. She was not sure she still believed it mattered. But something in her said yes, and that yes was the crack through which grace entered. Every conversion begins with a single moment of willingness. God does not need much to work with. He just needs one open door. When Paula entered the confessional, the priest was ready for what came in with her. He called her husband in, asked for holy water, salt, and a relic, and the spiritual reality that had attached itself to Paula through years of New Age practice made itself visible. Her husband stayed. He did not run. That, Paula says, is one of the great miracles, that he stayed and became her protector in what followed. Grace arrived in many shapes that day. Her husband was one of them. Liberation was not instantaneous. It came through months of accompaniment, regular confession, mass, and prayer. At a retreat, Paula experienced what she describes as an illumination of conscience, seeing her entire life at once, including every moment she had cried out to God and felt abandoned, and seeing for the first time that he had been there every single time. "He was always right beside me," she said. "A father never abandons his child. Never, not even once." Paula said something that cuts to the heart of the New Age question. I prefer to call it the parable of the merciful father, because it was never about how far she wandered. It was always about who was standing at the end of the road, watching for her to come home. No crystal ever loved her. No spirit guide ever bled for her. But the father in that parable ran toward her the moment he saw her coming. That is not New Age spirituality. That is Christianity. Every mystic in the history of the Church described genuine spiritual experience the same way. The deeper you go into God, the smaller you realize you are, and the more immense he becomes. The New Age teaches the exact opposite. The deeper you go, the more divine you become, until you realize you were God all along. This is not a minor difference. It is a contradiction at the deepest possible level. One leads to love. The other leads to a closed room with only yourself inside. Can a Catholic read their horoscope? Not with belief, and not as a guide for decisions. The Church teaches that astrology is divination, an attempt to access knowledge that belongs to God alone, through means that bypass God entirely. This is not medieval superstition. It is a principled position about who God is and how he relates to human history. The stars do not govern your life. The God who made the stars does. Those are not the same thing, and the difference matters. Many Catholics who would never attend a channeling session still keep crystals in their homes, follow astrology accounts, or practice yoga without a second thought. The question to ask is not, does this feel harmless? The question is, what does this practice say about God, the soul, and how human beings find truth? If the answer is incompatible with what Christ taught, then the feeling of harmlessness is part of the danger, not evidence that everything is fine. You cannot be a New Age Catholic in the same way you cannot be a little bit pregnant. Blending Catholic sacramental life with New Age practices does not produce a richer spirituality. It produces a confused one. The Catechism is direct. All practices of divination and magic, all attempts to access spiritual power outside the gift of God, are gravely contrary to the virtue of religion. The Church says this not to restrict your freedom, but to protect your soul from real harm. The New Age promises a coming golden era of peace, harmony, and human transcendence. The Church has news. That era already came. It arrived in a stable in Bethlehem. It was sealed on a cross outside Jerusalem, and it is renewed every morning on altars around the world. You do not need a crystal to access the divine. You do not need a spirit guide to find peace. You need the Eucharist, the sacraments, and the God who loved you before the stars were placed in the sky. But tell me, what struck you the most about the video? Do you want to share an experience with us? Leave it in the comments. If you want this channel to keep growing, subscribe, hit the like button, and ring the bell. May our Holy Mother bless you and shelter you under her mantle.